Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a little look at the markets, going to be discussing what it is that I've bought into in regards to looking forward to the next patch, and we're going to dispel some of the myths that are currently floating around of how to make lots of ISK and what is potentially going to happen after the patch. Now, I've been asked obviously what it is that I've been buying of late and what I'm holding on to, and it's a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. That's because all in all, I don't necessarily know what is going to happen with this patch. With it being such a big patch and such a huge change, there is lots of unknowns. And again, that's not to say that you can't make a decent amount of ISK at the moment. There is good amounts of ISK to be made, but a lot of it is, in my personal opinion, it's a relative gamble because everything's up in the air and a lot of things could change. We don't know what's going to change other than what has currently been announced. We don't know what else will be added, whether clouds will be increased, minerals will be, or asteroids will be reintroduced, etc, etc. So there's a lot of unknowns, and in regards to actually holding and buying stuff, this is currently what I've got. In fact, we've actually got a few Balgorns as well, so let me drop them in there. Don't think I bought anything else. I've been making a few of the Triglavian ships, so I've made a few Kikamoras, a few Vedmax and a few Drekavacs, but other than that I haven't really done a great deal of speculation. And so first and foremost, I bought the Balgorns. I couldn't quite get hold of the Macarials, and this is because I intend to fly these after the patch drops. So this is a ship I generally want, so I decided to buy them when they were obviously at a decent price before obviously it all went nuts. I bought the Covetors because the price for these is generally, I reckon they're going to sit around about 60 million after the patch at the current rate that we are at. So I thought they were underpriced. They're up 10 million ISK at the moment and they're selling quite nicely. I've still got 64 to go. And the Procurers, they haven't gone up yet, but again, as the Procurers and Covetors are going to be at the same price, I'm expecting these to obviously go up. Now, I bought some wetware mainframes, I bought some broadcast nodes, some bacteria, and that was pretty much all I bought for this. And as I said, you know, if you've watched any of the other videos, I had a lot of this already. Now, the thing that's doing really well for price spike at the moment is the Fullerrides here, and they have gone up from, I bought them for 600 each, and they've pretty much doubled. So I'm sitting on 8 billion ISK increase there, so that's quite nice. But the others, the Balgorns have gone up a decent, but I've only got 5, so that's barely anything. The broadcast nodes are up 150k tops, and the wetware I barely got any, so let's not look into that. The rest of the stuff I already had. So in regards to actually speculating, so to say, I haven't done a great deal. And as I said at the start, that's because I'm unsure of where it was going to go. And again, there's good amounts of ISK to be made where people are speculating, but at the moment, without feeling it, I felt that I was gambling, and I didn't want to be in a position where I was just buying stuff for the sake of buying and not really knowing how it was going to pan out. So in regards to speculation, I haven't bought a great deal, and that's currently where I sit. So I've seen a lot of places saying, you know, get building, produce stuff, because after the patch it's going to go nuts. And this is true for some things, but not for others. And I don't want necessarily people to get stung or FOMO, basically, the fear of missing out, that you're going to jump on it and basically you're going to end up getting burnt. And I'm going to back that up with numbers to show you why I believe this isn't going to be the case. Now, supers, carriers, dreads and titans are going to increase in price. I think that's pretty much a given. How much they increase in price is, some people have done estimates. I haven't done the figures on this. Some people are saying the titans are going to be 200 billion, super carriers are going to be 80 to 100 billion potentially. Dreads could be in the region of 100 billion. Now, that may be the case at the current prices of things at the moment. Again, I haven't run the numbers on that because the vast majority of people, that's not going to affect. You know, a good majority of people probably listening to this channel are building supers or titans, and if you can build supers or titans, then now is definitely the time to be cranking them out as quickly as possible. But for the vast majority of people, carriers, Yeah, people are probably building carriers, but battleships and below. But as battleships are the only ones that are really going to be changing, we're going to focus on battleships specifically here. So for this, unfortunately, it's going to get slightly spreadsheety, but do bear with me because I will make this as simple and as quick and as painless, hopefully, as possible. So we've got Tritanium, Pyrite, Mex, Isogen, Nox, Zydrin, Megasite, and we've got the price that it currently is now, the price that it was before the patch was announced, and we will fill this in potentially later, the price of minerals after the patch has deployed. Now with this, we've got the current Maelstrom build materials, and we have the after the patch Maelstrom building materials. Now I've picked on the Maelstrom specifically because, just because, and all the battleships other than the Scorpion, for whatever reason, are going to use exactly the same amount of minerals. So the new Maelstrom, or whatever this is, doesn't really matter what ship it is because they're all exactly the same. The only thing that I've not included at this moment is the additional inputs that need to be added to the Maelstrom. So it gets an additional input, which I can't quite remember what it is. I think it's the core temperature thingy, but either way, that is the difference in the minerals. And we can see here that Tritanium drops a decent amount. Pyrite goes up quite considerably in the new build. Mex pretty much stays the same. Isogen goes up dramatically, but Nox goes down dramatically. Zydrin drops considerably, and Megasite is 20%. So again, a decent drop. So the cost to build a Maelstrom right now is 423 million ISK. That is with a ME10 BPC or blueprint, and not including installation costs. So that is mineral cost alone. Now, before the patch, with the current mineral prices as they were, you could build it for 286 million. So quite a difference in before and after. And now we come to the new Maelstrom, and again, that is reveal the price for these. So you can see that the Maelstrom price with the minerals now, so if the patch was to drop right now, the cost in minerals alone would be 370 million ISK. However, before minerals spiked, it would be 228 million ISK. So that is considerably lower to build, well, both states really, than it was, so basically the Maelstrom is cheaper in minerals specifically to build than it was prior. Now, some good fellow on Reddit decided to post the breakdown for the battleship for the new component, and again it escapes me and I can't be bothered to look it up because it's irrelevant at this moment, but they basically listed out all the extra stuff that you need in order to build the extra things that need to go into the battleship. And we can see here we've got quants and we've got the current price. Now, bearing in mind this price is currently inflated. Now, I haven't gone for the price prior because, again, these prices are, there's a good possibility they're going to stay roughly where they are, or they might go up, they might go down. So we'll assume they're going to stay where they are because, again, it's easier to assume that they're going to be where they are than it is trying to speculate, because they have spiked. Now, obviously, everybody's speculating, so I do expect them to go down, but for sake of argument, we'll keep them exactly where we are. And these are the totals, the total price, and you can see the total extra is 45 million ISK. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting, so if you are dropping off, stick with it. I will drop the gems here now for you, now that we've got past that part. So we can see right now, as minerals exactly where they are, and assuming this price is roughly accurate for after the price, we are looking at 370 plus 45 million ISK. So we are looking at 415 million ISK, which is cheaper to actually make than it currently is. Before, we are looking at 228 plus the 45, so what, 273 million ISK. So again, cheaper than it was before. So this random price of, oh, battleships are going to be so expensive no one's going to be able to afford them, they are pretty much going to be in line with what they are now, assuming this doesn't spike massively from where it is. And even if it does, it shouldn't make that much difference to the overall price, unless something quads or does something incredibly daft. So yeah, so 45 to 60 is probably roughly where the I'm pretty sure it's the core temperature is going to sit at. So rest assured, as it currently stands, battleships will be roughly the price that they are or were before the patch. Unless, well, so say you're going to be paying pretty much the same as what you're paying at the moment. Now, the very interesting thing that starts to happen here is, now here's where it gets interesting, in my personal opinion. If you bought the minerals or had minerals stockpiled beforehand and you paid the prices before it spiked, you are currently able to crank out Maelstroms or whatever for 286 million ISK, and there will be people cranking it out at that. However, if you have gotten on the bandwagon as, oh my gosh, I need to build battleships right now because after the patch they're going to spike horrendously, and you are buying minerals at the current prices, you are paying massively over what other people bought it for. Now, the thing that makes this interesting is, obviously, if they got the minerals beforehand, they will be producing much cheaper right now, and after the patch goes live, they will still be able to undercut anybody that is currently making them from the current market mineral prices. Now, there will be literally thousands of these ships which will be being produced right now in one form or another, and anybody who bought the minerals before will always be able to sell it for less than what you can currently make it for. So if you miss the wagon, if you didn't manage to get on the minerals at that price, you've missed the boat, basically. Don't bother. If you are building battleships right now, buying minerals off the market or however you're acquiring them, if they are in them prices, you are basically losing ISK. You will get stuck with these battleships, and as we discussed over here, that the new price is going to be, what, 273 million ISK at the current. It's because every man and his dog is buying them in order to build these ships beforehand. Now, again, for supercarriers, titans, dreads, carriers, it may end up being worth it. However, for battleships, it is not. And if you are doing it, stop. And that's pretty much that for that. So again, the issue that you'll have is people will have stockpiles of these, and it will take a really long time to burn through the current stockpiles that people are producing. It could even take up to a year, because obviously battleships don't sell in huge numbers as it currently is. After the patch they may sell in slightly higher numbers, who knows at this stage, but as it currently stands, again, you are just going to be sitting on really expensive battleships that, and the reason that I'm using this figure to do the selling after the patch is because, as we can see, in regards to battleships and carriers, dreads, supers and titans, the price of, or the amount of titanium you need for the larger ships is being dramatically cut. So there is no chance, unless there is a change to Veldusbar in HiSec, that Trit is going to stay anywhere near this value. So 6.65 is so massively inflated, and the only reason, so say, minerals have inflated to this amount is because, again, everybody's buying them to produce ships. So at the very best scenario for everybody currently, after the patch goes live and people start buying minerals to produce basically the supers, the super capitals, then we are looking, basically we are probably going to settle back roughly to where we are. Now, just with these alone, we can see right here, Tritanium is going to be massively different to the 5.6 that it is. So I reckon, again, speculation, but I reckon it's going to settle at around about the 3.5 over time. Now, pyrite, we can see there is a slight increase in volume, or quite a hefty increase in volume. So we'll be fair for Pyrite. We'll keep it at the 37. So that's exactly where it is now, not beforehand, which I think is slightly high, but again, for prosperity. Megasite is exactly the same, so we will take the price before prices spiked. Isogen is going up quite substantially, so we'll take the new price. Nox is going down substantially, so we will say 800. Zydrin is going down substantially, so we'll say 12. And Megasite is going down slightly, so we'll be fair and say 600. So let's get a bit of formatting going on. So the price of the Maelstrom after prices settle down and stop being silly is 292 plus the 45, so we are looking at 240, well 38 give or take, so 338 million ISK. So nowhere near these massively inflated prices that people think they are going to be. And that is currently my stance on it. And I can't see any logical reason for battleships disappearing into the sunset in regards to price. They're going to stay roughly where they have been for the last however long, unless, again, there's a huge upset to mineral distribution. Now, the only thing that's likely to happen to minerals is more of them being redistributed around, so they're probably going to be easier to get hold of, not harder. So, in scarcity, that's where we're at. Maybe after, prices are likely to be less if scarcity goes or is tweaked at all. So, these prices are generally inflated. I can easily see trip falling below the 3.5. So again, the general point overall is don't buy into the hype, as you are likely to be left holding the can. Anybody who got in beforehand is making a killing or will make a killing, and anybody buying in now is basically just buying the hype and is going to get horribly burnt long run, because again, you're going to be sitting on these battleships that you've produced for 423 million ISK for months and months and months, and unless prices change dramatically, you're never going to sell them for what you've built them for, and you're going to lose ISK. So that is generally why I haven't speculated or done a great deal with this patch, because before knowing what is going to be going on, it was such a big patch and such a big change, it's really, really hard to be able to crystal ball it for the future. And I've kind of sat on the sidelines a little bit more than I probably would have liked or would have done, and for that very reason, that again, it's such a big change and there's so much going on, and again, prices have already spiked hugely. So again, as I said, if you've missed the boat, you've missed the boat, and don't bother trying to get on it when everything is at its high. And that's where we currently are now. So again, I'm not saying that other people are deceiving you or out lying. They may not have run the numbers or the speculation, or whether they're just on the hype train with everybody else that, you know, things are going to go nuts. And as I said, for supercarriers, Titans especially, they are going to go nuts, but the vast majority of us don't have access to build them, and yeah, the people that do build them, yeah, you know, they're going to make a killing, and the rest of us are just going to have to suck that one up. But for battleships and under, the vast majority, as said, are likely to get. Battleships are going to stay roughly where they are, and everything else is meant to be getting cheaper, because that's supposedly what CCP wants. So watch this space. That, Sensei, is why I haven't speculated and why I'm not currently building a great deal. So I hope that was useful. I know there was a bit of spreadsheeting in there, and a lot of people hate that, but unfortunately it needed to be done to be able to get the point over. So with that, if you did enjoy it, give us a like, drop some comments of anything that you'd like to ask or state, or anything that you think I've missed. Always open to suggestions and welcome any feedback. And with that, thanks for your time. Talk to you later.